You're listening to the 95Podcast from the team at 95 Network, where we host conversations specifically designed to support leaders in small and mid-sized churches. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 95 Podcast. My name is Carolee Culpepper, and I am here with our Executive Director, Dale Sellers. Dale, how's it going today on this rainy day?
Going so beautiful. It is rainy and cold in our place. In fact, I feel like I complained about that last time, so I won't talk about how cold it is. But I actually built a fire last night for the first time of this season, and of course my friends in the north were going, "You're such a wimp." But anyway, it's a beautiful day on the inside because of who we're talking to today. I'm so excited. Well, let me introduce him first, and I'll tell why I'm excited. So today we have with us Jesse Barnett. And Jesse lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and Jesse's the newest member of our team. So, Jesse, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Rainy here in Atlanta too, but excellent to be here. Excited.
Well, let me tell you why I'm so excited. Because when you lead an organization like this, you're always like, God, I want to hear what you have for us. I want to stay in tune with what you're doing. And so, all our listeners already understand that we had the transition where Austin helped us do our first 100 podcasts, and the Lord, in a really cool way, brought Carolee on, and she's such a wonderful addition to the team and a great podcast co-host. I've heard nothing but great things about you being here, Carolee. So,
well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for bringing your awesomeness to the podcast. If you have any unawesomeness, just don't bring it to the podcast. I'm just kidding.
Exactly, I hear that.
But what I want to do as I lead this thing is I don't want to ripen. I don't want to just stay where we are. I always try to keep my just looking at the pulse or feeling the pulse of where things are going and what we're doing. And man, there's never been a more interesting time to lead anything than leading a church or an organization that help pastors and churches through the pandemic. That is not over, but it's moving at least in the right direction now. It feels like, and so I'm always looking for what's next, what's new, what is it that we need to do? And I don't mean like a fad, but what is it we can do to come along beside pastors and leaders and help them? And the other thing I want to do is I want to keep 95 Network young. And so I'm always looking for younger folks to add to the team. And we have older folks on our team too, but I don't want to just I don't have a good run for 10 years and then be over. It's not about me. I want us to establish this ministry so that it goes on forever, as long as Jesus tarries. And so, and a few weeks ago, I had a chance to have a conversation with Jesse today. And Jesse's not just a guest; Jesse's the newest member of our 95 Network team. And we were talking about one arena, which he can dive into that in a little bit about what he was offering. But we began to talk about the need to come along beside pastors and help them, specifically in the arena of how they can get more mileage, if you will. I think we'll use that phrase a lot today: more mileage out of their sermons. And man, what has transpired in our conversation has got me thrilled. I've never been more excited about any new aspect of the team. So having both of you together today makes me feel like a proud papa in a weird kind of way. So Jesse, kind of take a moment and just kind of tell us your story, and then we're going to dive into exactly what you're going to be bringing to the table here at 95 Network.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and lean into that thing about being young for a minute, because I think that's much appreciated. I got my gray in my beard. So if you're listening and not watching, I'm not that young, but So first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited about being here. I'm so excited to be part of this team. As Dale, as you mentioned, I reached out to you about essentially a cold email about a totally different thing. And as you and I got to talking and got to kicking around some ideas and just talking about what the ministry does, how you serve pastors in these churches, like most things in my life that are great, they just came out of left field, and God provided them in a way where it surprised me. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, this is right. I feel this. This is amazing. So I'm super glad to be here. As you mentioned, I'm from Atlanta, so I'm one of the rare people who actually is from Atlanta that grew up in Atlanta, not a transplant, and have a similar background to you, Dale. I grew up doing construction work. So my dad was a carpenter. I grew up doing carpentry work all through. I joke that as soon as I could pick up a hammer, I was holding one, and went on jobs with my dad. And,
we have a picture of me as a 6-year-old kid with a cloth nail apron tied on and the hammer. And you know how you take the hammer and slide it down inside the strap and it's dragging the ground.
Yeah.
So that is a unique story to us.
You had to grow into your first hammer, right?
I did.
Yeah. So, but it's cool because that background, the blue collar background, I really saw what it meant to, to put things together from nothing, to take a pile of sticks and to turn them into something. And that really has become a part of my identity and my story, is just being able to take disconnected things and turn them into something. And it took me a while to realize that that's a gift that not everybody has. And I say that with humility, in all honesty, because, when you have a strength, you feel like, oh, this is easy. Everybody should be able to do this. And then the more I do things, I realize that that's something that God has gifted me. Mm-hmm. So, so I grew up doing that. I have a weird story. So I'll tell you the professional side, and then we'll slide over to the personal side, if that's okay.
However you want to do it.
All right. So I grew up doing blue collar work, saw some of the struggles that my dad had in that, and thought, okay, I want to do something different. I know I need to go to college. So I went to a school that I won't say because I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it's close to Atlanta in Athens, Georgia.
You're a bulldog. I know you're a bulldog. Carol graduated from Clemson, so you just need to know it up front.
You're outnumbered on this one.
Yes,
I know. Well, it's been a long time coming, but we're enjoying that number one ranking. Hope it sticks around for us.
Go Dogs.
Yeah.
Go far away.
So I actually went and I got a business degree from Georgia. Because I was kind of thinking, well, I don't know what I want to do. I knew God was calling me to help people, but I was not clear beyond that. And I didn't feel called to go into ministry per se, but I felt called to help people. And so I went and got a business degree, kind of bounced around, did some sales jobs in the construction with a building products company because it was comfortable and I felt it. And then I ended up going back to school to get my master's degree from seminary. And out of that, right about the time I graduated was when the economy tanked in 2008. And so I was working some part-time jobs. I was doing construction, and I actually started teaching. And so I was teaching at a community college, or a technical college actually down here. And so I kind of honed my teaching skills. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool because I had never taught before, but it was an offshoot of kind of the direction, now looking back, I can see where God was taking me. But at the time it was just do the next right thing and see where it leads. So I ended up teaching there up until about 2015. And all along the way, I was writing. So I was blogging. I had a blog that was kind of a Christian inspirational blog just to help people out. And all along the way, I was doing that, kind of honing those skills. And then I ended up getting an opportunity to write full time, to work full time for John Maxwell's organizations. And so, so I started actually working, getting paid to write, which was cool because before it was just something I was passionate about, but I hadn't really turned it into an income or anything like that. So through that crazy story, it takes me to where I am now, which is working on my own. I work for myself and help people write books and, messaging, communication, just anything that helps you kind of take your message and refine it and expand it and bring it to the world.
That's great. That's kind of actually a little bit of what I do as well. And started to kind of freelance on my own as well, which has worked out really nicely. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's fun and it's scary at the same time. Working for yourself is tricky because you drive yourself, but you don't always know where the next thing's coming from, which is a bit of a challenge. But I have a fantastic family that supports me and that has really been behind me every crazy step of the way, every crazy step of the journey.
Tell us more about your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been married 21 years, just celebrated 21 years.
Wow.
So see, I'm not that young, but
you got married when you were 10.
Yeah, exactly. So no, my wife's name is Becca, and we actually met in our church's college ministry, which it's not really a college town. So it was a pretty small ministry. But she and I met there while we were in school and got married. The year we graduated, we graduated in June, got married in September, bought our first house in December. So it was like all the little life, things happened in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I have a 19-year-old daughter who's in college, and I have a 15-year-old son who's a sophomore in high school. And, they support me. I was talking to my daughter before I got on, and she's like, "I'm so excited, Dad. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I can't wait to listen." And so my family is really in my corner, and I can be hard to pin down sometimes. And I got a lot of drive.
Man.
Yeah. Dale knows, right? So,
Yeah.
but
That's
having
great,
them,
though.
having them in my corner really is something I don't take for granted. It's a blessing. It's a secret superpower that God's given me.
That's wonderful.
So you and I have been, when I first talked to you, I just want to go ahead and tell the whole story. So I was looking for someone to help me do with copywriting, and you were the first guy I connected with. And then in the meantime, I met Carolee. And then I'm going, okay, well, Jesse won't call me back. So Carolee, you got the job. And I actually had talked to you about maybe being the podcast host, but I had always in the back of my mind, really, I wanted a female podcast host because I just thought it would make us broader in our, in our appeal. And since you didn't get back to me, and then I met Carolee, and I'm going, hey, you know what? I started praying about it, and it's like, hey, ask her. And so you missed out, bud.
That was my first lesson in Dale, is if you don't move fast, I lost 2 jobs right out of the gate.
Well, I will say this though. The thing I do love about you, and it's, you and I would track really well together because we both grew up building houses together. And so we understand that, when you show up at the job, there's a certain thing you do that day. And when you get the walls up, you don't just stop, you go to the next thing, but a firm foundation is important. And so that's why what I love about you is you're very thorough. And we've been actually talking about what we're going to present today for many, many weeks, because you wanted to make sure that it was well thought out and planned. And so kind of dive in a little bit about where we're going with what you're going to be bringing to the team.
Sure. Yeah. So what I think I'm going to be called, and unless this has changed, is a communications coach.
That's exactly what you're being called.
All right, good. Just making sure.
Yeah.
So for 95 Network. So specifically, what I've developed is something I'm calling digital discipleship coaching. And I'll kind of unpack that a little bit, and I'll tell you why I'm so excited about it. But so digital discipleship coaching, I want to come alongside the pastors that are listening. You all do a fantastic job every week crafting a message or a couple messages or 3 messages, whatever it is, however your church lays out. So you're in there digging into the Word of God, bringing this message to the people inside the walls of your church, and you're helping them grow closer to Jesus. You're doing discipleship in that way. What I want to help you do is I want to help you find ways that don't add a whole lot of time or a whole lot of extra work, but help you take that message outside of the walls of your church and impact your community. So what I want to do is I want to help you take that message that you work so hard for and just learn, how can I take what I was to deliver in 30 minutes or 40 minutes on a Sunday morning? How can I break pieces and parts of that out and put it out into the world on my website or on social media to get some conversations going and some engagement outside of the church in the community to draw people in to your church? So I'm really excited about that, because I think, Dale, you mentioned this in one of the small church strategies about, this is the biggest communication shift in the last 500 years. Yep. And I think it can be scary to go, oh gosh, whatever you think about the internet, it can be, there's a lot of junk out there, right? There's a lot of people putting negative and bad and mean and all that kind of stuff. But we have the best news of all, right? There's a lot of bad news. We have the best news of all. And so I want to come alongside and empower you to take the good news that you're sharing weekly, you're doing the work anyway, and put that out into the world in specifically your community. And get the community to know about you, to understand who you are as a church, to share those messages, those teaching points, those things that are going to really light people up and help them grow closer to Jesus. So
this is such a huge need. Carolee, I want you to dive in right after I say this. This is such a huge need because we've been trying for years to encourage pastors to embrace online, to use their website, that kind of thing. And they're petrified. They're like, because I'm not a young person, I don't know how to do it. My grandkids know how to do it better than I do. And that's why you need a coach. And so I just know this is such a great need, a felt need there.
I was actually going to kind of say the same thing. I know this is probably intimidating to a lot of people who
It
aren't
is.
very familiar with social media,
Mhm.
who've never done it before, especially never done it, as the face of their whole church. I mean, it's a lot different than just having like a personal Facebook or Instagram page or anything like that. So what would be like a couple of things that ways that maybe you would encourage someone who's wanting to start, engaging on social media with their church and everything?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things, the way I'm laying this out is to do a 4-week group coaching program. So I hope to get 4 to 8 pastors together, just like we're here now on a Zoom call, to where I can walk through. Each week will be kind of a new teaching. It will have a resource or a tool. Got some really awesome names that I'm going to put out there so that you guys can have these tools. You can take them. You can use them again and again. So it's going to be kind of, the idea is to teach you how to do it, and then that it'll take away some of that fear and that uncertainty, and you'll just know, okay, if I do this, this is pretty straightforward. I can handle this. So as an example, you take your message that you did Sunday. Most messages maybe have 3 points or 4 points. 3 points.
3 points and a point.
Exactly. So, which obviously that's a communicator's trick, right? It's easy for you to remember. It's easy for the listener to digest and to understand and hopefully take away. But all of those 3 points in your message have to link together into a 30-minute sermon. Well, if you try to deliver a 30-minute sermon,
I wish they would do 30-minute sermons.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Communications coach, we want to help them with that too.
Yeah. But you try to give a 30 or 40 or even a 20-minute video online, people's attention spans are short. They're going to check out. Right.
They go.
And so the idea behind this is to drill down into one of your 3 points, and in one of those 3 points, grab a single nugget, a single takeaway, a single thing that they can apply, and just talk about that. Right. Mm-hmm. Take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a minute, and shoot a video and just say, hey, I want to expand what I talked about on Sunday and teach you this. And it's as simple as that. Like we really overcomplicate things. We try to make it polished and perfect, and we need lights and we need sound.
Okay. No, pause. You just said we shoot a video. Okay. You just lost half your audience. What do you mean shoot a video? I don't have a camera. I don't have, and you just went into the lights and stuff. What do you mean by that?
Well, how many people, nobody can answer this because it's a podcast, but how many of you have a smartphone within your reach? Like probably you can look down right now. Mm-hmm. Dale just looked at his, right? Like, you know exactly where it is. That little device has everything you need. Yeah. It's got the capacity to shoot video. It's funny, Dale, and you know this, in the conference that I came to a few weeks ago, I was talking to a pastor who was 75 years old, and he was telling me that he had a really good Panasonic camcorder that was about 20 years old. And he was thinking about getting that out to where he could record some video. And I'm looking at him scrolling through his iPhone, and I thought, okay, we got some work to do. I said, your 20-year-old Panasonic probably is not going to give you as good of a quality as what is in your pocket right now. Right. So you're right. It's not as hard as it seems. And that's what I want to teach. I want to show you guys, and I want to show y'all, this is how you do this. It's not difficult. It's just having a system in place, right? It's kind of like exercising. If you decide I want to run a 5K, or I want to start lifting weights or doing whatever, it could seem intimidating to walk into a gym and seeing all of the equipment and going, oh my goodness, where do I start? But if you have a trainer that says, okay, here's what you're going to do, Monday and Thursday is going to be, you're going to work out your legs and your back, and Tuesday and Friday, you're going to work out your chest and your arms. And here's the exercises you do these things. Then all of a sudden you take that huge, intimidating plan and you collapse it into something that feels doable. And the more you do it, the less you have to think about it. It's just becomes second nature. And the benefits, I think, is once you start to see engagement in your community, you start to build trust with the people in your community. And that's the people inside the walls of your church, and it's the people outside of the walls of your church, because you become a trusted voice where they see, hey, that 30-second video or that 2-paragraph post that you wrote on Facebook with a question that was really thought-provoking, people start engaging with you. and you start to learn what needs your community has, and you start to learn, hey, I can speak to this, or we could do an event that would help in this area for marriages, or we could do this event or this thing. And you start to have that dialogue where you're not feeling alone. You're not feeling just, I do this every week. I'm up on stage. I hope somebody's listening. God send the right people to hear this message. You're actively proactive. Wait, can you be actively proactive? I don't think so.
Well, you can't be unactively proactive. So yes.
So you are proactively finding the people that need to hear your message, and you're bringing it to them in a way that doesn't dilute its power. It really multiplies its power, because it's engaging, it's tangible, it's practical, it's exciting, it's good news, right? We're putting good news out into the world. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but I'm really, really excited about what that's going to do for this community.
Right. I think engagement on social media too, especially for people that aren't at your church. Social media posts and things like that can kind of pique curiosity too. We were talking with Dale and I were talking with Marianne yesterday about volunteers and how she just does kind of fun things to spark curiosity and fun and things like that. And, I think when people's interests are piqued, then they do pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. Yeah. And I think that's a huge benefit of social media as well, to increase that engagement with your church.
Well, everybody knows today that if anyone is going to connect with you on new people, 99% of them are going to find you online or in social media first. Your front door of your building is no longer your front door. This arena of using the internet, our websites or Facebook or all that stuff. And both of you use the same word 10 times in the last 2 minutes. And this word is where we are and where we're going. And it's the word engagement. I've been talking about it. I'm going to keep talking about it because it's not enough. What we're talking, I want to make real clear here. We are not talking about just live streaming your service. It's funny how things progress along. We've been encouraging at 95 Network for years. We've been asking churches, how is your website? Is your website good? And the answer we always get is, yes, we have a website. Well, that wasn't the question. The question wasn't, do you have a website? Is it any good? Well, all the young people will shake their head no, and all the older folks will say, yeah, because most church websites are just reproducing what's in their Sunday morning bulletin. Most church websites are insider focused. And the problem with that is that the world, the people who don't know Jesus, the people who are looking for answers, they don't understand all that language. And so that's what's so exciting about having you to come along. We're going to help pastors who've already spent all this time working and preparing and getting a message together. And I love the way you had articulated this when we first started talking. We're going to get some mileage out of your message. Where you're not creating anything new, you're not doing anything else that you haven't already done. But Jesse's going to show you how to take that and use it to really connect with people right now, because people are looking for answers. And if we just start answering the questions they're asking, it'd be pretty amazing what could happen.
Yeah, and I think two things, Dale. One is you have to craft things to where they're engaging. And what I always think about is, short of some amens or some, clapping when the congregation likes a point you made from the stage, you don't get a whole lot of engagement, right? You hope people are not nodding off, right? That's some engagement. It was like, oh, I'm belaboring this point, let's move on. But it's pretty much one-way communication. And you're delivering the message, and you are the authority. You're on a stage that's elevated. You got the mic. You're the person that's giving. I'm dispensing information. What I want to help you build is engagement, to where I'm not talking about a debate over, well, we're going to debate this thing. I'm talking about, here's the thing, this can help you. Tell me how it helped you. Tell me where you're struggling. Tell me what's going on. And those open-ended questions and those open-ended conversations are what I want to help you create, because that tells people, especially unchurched people or dechurched people, hey, this place is a place that cares about me. This pastor is a pastor that actually is giving me truth that will help me in my life. And I think that's a powerful thing. And it'll be a bit of a learning curve to think about, I'm not just delivering information like I've been doing. Now I have to actually ask more open-ended questions and, tell me more about that, and keep the dialogue rolling. And it does a couple things. One is it shows that you care what they have to say. And two, it helps you shape those needs going forward, because every community is different. Where your church was located, your people in your community need different things. And it helps you kind of craft to where you're speaking their language and helping them out.
I meet a lot of pastors who tell me, but I just love to preach. I just love to preach. And I understand that, but I want to be really honest with you, pastors. According to the Bible, our job is to equip. That's what we're called to do. And preaching is one aspect of how we equip. But I want you to understand, if you're listening now and you're like, I know I need to make this shift, but it's so hard. You may not think it's worth the effort, but I want you to know the next 2 generations coming up, they typically aren't going to believe anything you say just because you say it. And you can't just get out and throw out information without understanding. They're going to Google it. If you say something that's kind of far out or off the wall, they're going to check. You're going to fact check you right there, because what people are looking for is authenticity, and that's what I'm hoping that through this coaching you're going to be able to do, is let pastors communicate their heart. If I could say it like this, I feel like so many churches, we communicate our head. We're always so educational oriented, and I'm not anti-education, but we're just so deep in the weeds of things sometimes that sometimes people don't know why we do what we do. So I'm hoping you're going to be able to help them do that, to, really get their heart out there, and I know in talking with you, that's part of what drives you.
Yeah. And that's a really good point about authenticity, because I think we live, one of the things that I personally don't like about social media, and a lot of people feel this way, is you get on there and you start to feel inadequate, or you're missing out, like, oh wow, they took a nice vacation, wish I could take a nice vacation, or their burger looks perfect, how do they get those grill lines on there? But whatever the thing is, we can compare. And what I want to encourage everybody listening to this message, and as you go through this coaching program, is you are unique, and God made you exactly the way you are for a reason. He put you exactly where you are for a reason, and you are the person that God has in your community to bring this message. And that means you just need to be you. You don't need to be anybody else. You don't need to look like anybody else. You need to sound like anybody else. You just need to be you. And now, can you get better? Absolutely. I'll go back and listen to this and hear every single or
Don't worry, we edit them all out.
Okay, good.
No, we don't.
So you can absolutely get better. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But get better in the direction that God has made you to be. Because when you think about building a church, you want people to come inside your church that fit with your message and your mission and your ministry, and you want those kind of people that buy in and believe in you. And if you're fake, it's kind of like the online dating profile pictures, that like, this was 10 years ago when I had no gray hair or something like that. Like,
this not just the online dating. Most pictures pastors on their books.
That's true.
I keep looking at the stuff we post to me, and I'm going, okay, I got to take a new picture pretty soon, because I had this one pastor friend, and I shouldn't say that, I won't say who he is, but I had this one, and he did a book, and I'm telling you guys, the picture in his book was a 20-year-old picture. I'm going, hey, dude, I looked at him and said, is that your son? And he just looked at me, and he didn't like that too much.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly right. Like, own it. Every gray hair I've got, every wrinkle is part of my story. Every scar is part of my story. And one thing you'll learn as you work with me is I don't take myself super seriously. I make as many mistakes as anybody, and I have self-deprecating humor, and I'm just trying to be authentic and go, this is who I am. And I understand that won't be for everybody, but I would encourage you to do the same thing. Like, when you start to communicate online, when you start to share your message, you don't have to doubt the authenticity of your message. If you're writing and delivering good sermons, you got the content, you got the raw materials. Just like when Dale and I were building houses, a pile of sticks we can turn into something. So you have that thing. Let's turn it into something that reflects who you are, that lets people see who you are. That's one of the reasons I love doing podcasts and video calls, because you can hear my voice, you can see me, and you go, okay, that guy's all right, I might want to listen to him. And that's what you can do when you do this kind of online communication.
I think there is a level of vulnerability that's a little bit intimidating as well when you talk about these kind of things. It's one thing I assume I've never stood in front of everybody and preached a message before, but that's something that's in your wheelhouse. This might not be, and this is kind of opening yourself up to um, a different realm, maybe even potential criticism. What would you say to people who feel intimidated by engaging in social media?
That is a very valid point. And there's going to be, people who have not nice things to say, because unfortunately that's where we live. But I will say this, and I mean this as gently as possible. The cycle of information flows through so quickly that we can get caught up in saying, "Oh, I have to make this perfect." We fail to launch because we want to make it perfect. When honestly, you can post one post and it's gone. It's down the line and it is gone. And that's why I'm going to teach you to do this consistently, so that you build up some momentum. But yeah, I feel like you have to kind of get out of your own way and say, you know what, the reason, why am I doing this? And one of the things I wrote down was that, the gospel doesn't change, but the way we bring it to our communities must change. So this technology allows you unprecedented access. So you kind of have to go, this isn't about me. This message isn't about me. And pastors, this from the stage, you say things wrong, you make mistakes. Guess what? Probably, unless they're egregious, you're the only person that knows you didn't say the word you meant to say. I don't know. I'm just listening to the whole message and going, oh, that was powerful. I can do some takeaways from that.
So great example here. So recently we did me and Carl Vaders did this purpose-driven church, had us in to do these videos that we did that they put out. And so Carl did too, and I did too. Well, I got so into the second one that I had these 10 points I was making. And man, I mean, I was so into it, and the Lord was moving, the anointing was flowing, all that stuff. And so I did it, finished it up. And then I get a call back about 2 weeks later when they're editing it, going, Dale, you skipped 0.5. So all your points are 1 point off. And we had to do some major editing to fix that because it was too late. So get over yourself is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I want to go into if you especially are listening now and you are younger or you're more into, we had a podcast with a fellow named Brady Shearer way back there, and Brady has a ministry called Pro Church Tools, and so everything he does is to help you do a great job with how to do online everything. And he told us one of the very first things he said was, authenticity matters more than excellence. And that doesn't mean you're supposed to do it bad, but excellence is such a misused and misunderstood word. Excellence just means doing the best you can with what you have. And I promise you, pastors, you can go on Amazon. I think it's $15. You can buy a tripod that'll hold your iPhone, and you can. I have one. I've done one. I've done that. And I let me be just honest. I hated it. I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to get up there. I don't want to be misunderstood. But here's the problem with that attitude. If you're not willing to do this, because, and again, I know you're humble, but you're missing an opportunity, because your website, your social media, your Facebook, all that is your new front door. I don't mean your front door to the people who already attend your church. What we're trying to do is giving you the tools you need to connect with millions of people, thousands outside your church who don't know Jesus. And that's why it's so important that we dive in here. So you don't, Jesse, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Well,
right.
and something you said too, Dale, made me think about when I was teaching. I taught in a program that was 16 to 21-year-old at-risk youth. So here I am, middle-aged guy talking to single moms and kids who were trying to get away from gang violence and just all kind of challenges. And it would blow me away sometimes, because they would grab me after class in the hall and say, "Oh, Mr. Barnett, when you said that thing about, pick a thing." I told a story about my grandfather going through the Depression and working hard to pay off his house, or, whatever it is. And I didn't set out to teach that lesson, but they found me to tell me the lesson that they learned. And it was such a powerful reminder.
Wait. Say that again. That was good.
So I didn't set out to teach that particular lesson, but they found me to tell me, this is the lesson that I learned.
Let's just let that settle in.
That was unscripted.
So good. Well, it made me think of my friend Rob White. Rob was the pastor who came to my home church when I was in high school. I actually wanted to become him. I wanted to be him. He's so influenced my life. And we had him on. We used to do a podcast called Real Church Stories, and he's talking there about the times, and every pastor is going to relate to this, where you preach a message on, I don't know, on discipleship. The whole thing's on discipleship, and someone comes up to you and goes, Pastor, I just want you to know the Lord really used that. I'm really going to start sharing my faith more. I just appreciate that message you preached on evangelism. And you're sitting there talking to him going, I didn't say that. And you didn't say that. The Holy Spirit said that. And now, thank you, Jesus, we're kind of getting into why I want to do this, is we've got to stop limiting the opportunities to connect with people who don't know Jesus because we don't know how to do it. That's why Jesse's here.
That's right. Yeah. And that's really that's what I want to leave you with. If nothing else, is I want you to be encouraged that I'm not teaching you how to do something entirely brand new. I'm teaching you how to take something you've already created and put a little Miracle-Gro on it, put a little fertilizer on it, and let's throw it out there in the world and see what happens. Like, see what, exactly right, Dale, what the Holy Spirit returns out of your teaching. Because you take a clip of a piece of a sermon, and I'm going to hear it. I'm going to run it through my biases and my filters and my understanding of things. And I might get a totally different thing out of it than, what Carolee, what you get, or Dale, what you get. It's just, and that's amazing to me. That's exciting. And it frees me up to just go, I'm going to pump good stuff out into the world. And that's really my mission personally. Like I write books and I have a lot to say, but I'm limited by just like everybody listening, I'm limited by the number of hours in the day, and I can only write so much. But if I can empower you to take your words and multiply them, man, that's God using me in a way that I never could have known as a young person, right? That's that service that God was telling me when I was a young person. I'm going to use you in some kind of way. If I can help hundreds, thousands of pastors multiply that impact of their message and get more mileage out of what they're already doing. And then, by the way, it's encouraging because you see people actually reacting and going, hey, Pastor, that helped me do this, or hey, this helped me here, or hey, I'm going to walk through your door on Sunday, right? That you can every Friday, you can post something and invite them to walk in the doors of your church on Sunday and say, hey, I'd love to see you there. That's a lot of times all people need is just to push a little invite from you. And it's amazing.
I'm sitting here thinking about, there's this guy in the Bible named Jesus, and he teaches this story, and he talks about that there were these folks he gave talents to, and one guy got so many talents and he doubled them, and another guy got so many talents and he doubled them, and the last guy just got one talent. He went and buried it in the dirt because he thought the master was mean, and he got scolded because he didn't even take what he had and gave it a chance to grow. And that's all we're asking you to do, Pastor. Yes, I know it's different. Yes, I know it's always better to meet in person. I get that. But you can't ignore all the data that just talks about the impact you can have online. And now we're removing your excuse from not even trying, because a lot of you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do when Austin was pushing me to get on and do this, get on and post things. I didn't want to do that. And he had, I have to give him credit. He stayed on my head about it. You got to get out there, Dale. You got to do this. And I didn't want, but man, the impact. And now the flip side of that is, don't get caught up in how many views you get or how many likes you get. It's not about that. It's not about that. This is our opportunity to take the talent we have, whether you've got 5, 3, 1, 5,000, it doesn't matter, and letting Jesus take that and multiply it and break it and use it. And man, this is exciting, Jesse.
Yeah, I agree. I'm super excited. I was thinking about that this morning. Just like I've been working hard on a website and just building things out, and I can't wait to get started.
As we move toward the end of the podcast, there's one thing that I have been saying, and you heard me say it at the conference you attended, that I want to encourage pastors to do. Pastors, you're going to do what Jesse is able to train you to do, and to make this valid in your life, you're going to have to change the rhythm of your week. And what I mean by that is basically most of you have a way you do week. Some of you take Mondays off. and then you work, Tuesday through the rest of the week. Some of you take Friday off. And so you have a rhythm, and there's a time to do counseling. There's a time you hang out with people. There's a time you meet with staff and volunteers, and there's time for study. I'm begging you, Pastor, to take a day a week and focus on your online content. Now, I already know that most of you just laughed when I said that. So if you won't do a whole day, you got to take a half a day and begin to focus on online content, because there's a wonderful opportunity there to connect with people and meet people and reach people who are not part of your church right now.
And one thing, Dale, I'm going to refine it even more for you who are pushing back and going, I don't have time to do that. What I am going to teach you, and I'm going to give you these tools, is I'm going to teach you how, after you deliver a message, you can use something I'm calling a message repurposing tool. So it's going to teach you how to break out. Here's the main points. Here's the takeaways. Here's some questions that I think we could turn it into. That's your pile of lumber. Okay. It won't take you 30 minutes to do that, because the message is going to be fresh on your mind, and you can break it down into what are these key points. And you can use kind of the feedback that you got when people, you can use the amens, right? Where it's like, oh, that was a good one. That'll preach. Those are those that'll preach moments. Then I'm going to teach you how to kind of do what I'm calling a digital message map, where you'll take those things and turn them into almost like script or teaching points for these maybe short videos or a short post on Facebook or on social media. That's kind of like your blueprint. So you got the raw material, you got the blueprint, and then the last thing is going to be something, playing around with the name, but like a catalyst planner, where you actually take the raw material and you take the blueprint and you take that time, like Dale's saying, start with 2 hours or 3 hours and just go, I know what I want to talk about. I know how it should go. I'm going to set my phone on that little tripod, turn on the light. I'm going to have spin it around on your desk. That's fine. I'm sitting at a desk. I think all of us are sitting at a desk right now. Just make sure there's nothing, a bright light behind you or something, and then just teach. Do what you do, talk and teach. And then I'll walk you through how to schedule that all out so it's set and it's automated. And then you go through the rest of your week and you put this thing on repeat. And like you said, Dale, don't worry about likes or views or any of that stuff. It takes time. It takes time and it'll build over time, and that's fine. It's the one person you're talking to. You're trying to teach to one person that needs to hear what God has given you that week, and you're providing it in a way that they can receive if they're not sitting in the rows of your church. And that's all this is it's faithfulness to do this. It's a little bit scary at first, like anything is. I joked about that. Like, it was weird to ride a bike the first time. It was weird to tie your shoes the first time. It felt weird, right? It's a different thing. But once you do it,
I didn't even do well at either one of those. Just start.
Yeah, Dale still wears Velcro shoes, so it's like, but it's not bad. Once you get it, it's second nature. And I'll tell you a secret. You might actually enjoy this. You might actually enjoy getting to preach mini messages or teach mini messages or get some feedback. Like it's really nice to put good stuff out there and have people say, this was powerful. This helped me. That's what I want to teach you to do.
You might even lead somebody to Jesus.
You might.
What a thought.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, Jesse, what is one word of encouragement or advice that you could give our pastors that are listening?
I would say my encouragement to you is that you can be an encouragement to other people. You are, again, you're where you are for a reason. You are created the way you are for a reason. You have the unique voice that you have. And I find one of the best ways to be encouraged is to encourage others. And so don't sit on that. Don't forget that, I try to open my eyes every single day to somebody that I can bless, whether it's opening the door for somebody with a smile and a joke, or just listening, or giving somebody a hug, whatever it is. Like, be that encouragement to other people, and don't get so bogged down in the long term that you forget about what's right in front of you. Focus on what you can do today and do the best you can. And guess what? God's mercies are new every morning. Wake up and tackle it again tomorrow. And it's not going to go perfect, but do it again and again and again. And you start stringing days together like that. And before you know it, you have more good days than bad, and you have more impactful days than not impactful days. And that's how growth happens. That's how progress happens.
I
That's
imagine
great.
most of our pastors listening preach better today than they did when he first started. I remember, as I told you about my friend Rob, that, I wanted to be him. And so I bought a suit just like his. Here I'm an 18-year-old kid wearing a three-piece black. Back then I had polyester. He didn't. Polyester suit. And I would hold my Bible. I would roll my Bible and hold it and point with my hand like he did. And I just remember after I preached my first message, Gina and I weren't married yet, but I asked her what she thought. And all she said was, maybe you just need to be you. And that was a kind way of her saying that didn't really go so well. So every pastor listening right now, every communicator listening right now knows you get better with time. And so we just want to give you permission to try something new. If you're a fisherman or a fisherwoman, if you're a fisher person, you're going to fish. You want to go fish where there's the opportunity to make more catches is, and online is the place to do it. And so we are providing a coach for you. I don't know what else we can do. We are trying our best at 95 Network to resource pastors of small and mid-sized churches. And so everything that Jesse's doing is going to be on the website. You just go to look under what we do, and it's going to be right there on the website in the coaching page. And there'll be links to connect you with Jesse, ways to sign up to be part of this. It's very, very affordable to do this. It's not, we don't do anything for free, because we found that pastors don't value that. But it's very affordable to do this. And then if someone gets involved and they want to go even to a deeper level than even what we're offering, you can even talk to Jesse about, hiring him as your own personal coach even further. And so pastors, I hope you'll take advantage of this. We want you to be successful, not because we want you to be successful for today. This is the lesson I learned in writing the book that I wrote. It's not about just getting churches healthy today. It's about reaching that next generation. And so I think this is going to be a way of doing that. So Jesse, thank you so much for saying yes, for joining our team, for being part of the team. As I said, I feel like a proud papa with both of you here, even though I'm not that much older than Jesse, because both of you bring a new element that keeps 95 Network alive and fresh and new. And I cannot wait to see what happens with this.
I agree. I'm very excited. This is an encouraging conversation for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed talking to you, and I'm the same. I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see everybody listening put this stuff out in the world, because guess what? I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to be sharing it and pushing it out there as well, because the world needs more of what you have to offer. So I hope I can help you bring it in a way that is authentic and encouraging to you as well.
Thanks for listening to the 95 Podcast. We look forward to sharing another episode with you next week. In the meantime, visit our website at 95network.org. The website is loaded with great resources created for small and mid-sized church leaders. Until next time, have a great week.